What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I am your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And I asked for a favor. I reached out to our amazing community on Instagram. I'm always saying to follow us on Instagram. And I said, hey, what's your top nutrition hack that really helps you when you're cutting? And we got some amazing responses. These are all things I love myself and all things I actually personally use. And there's one I've never tried that I'm really curious to try because it sounds like an amazing hack. And we're going to be teaching you just plain and simple, easy ways to get your beach body without struggling, unique, really cool strategic cutting hacks that you can start using to lose more fat and maintain a leaner body weight immediately. And we're going to start with my first one, which is brushing your teeth. You might say, what the heck does that mean? So one thing I love to do is end out a day. So MyFitnessPal used to have a feature where you could close your log, and I never want to mess with it. So I don't think they really use that as much, or it's not as impactful as it used to be. But for me, when I'm done my day of eating, very often I'll put it in my spreadsheet. And then when I get the opportunity to eat something later, cookies pass around, so I'm like, no, I'm good. It's already in there. I don't want to mess with the number. And a bonus to this, and an easy way to stop yourself from overeating if you are a snacker, if you're going somewhere, is brushing your teeth, especially in your own house, because you'll actually find to be like, I don't want to eat this extra thing, because you want to be lazy and you don't want to have to brush your teeth again. You're like, this is already done. I brushed it. I've flossed. Everything's nice and minty fresh in there. And as silly as it sounds, this little barrier can save you from going on these crazy late night tirades of just eating a ton of snacks. So I highly recommend trying this, even if like you're done your food for the day at 7 p.m., brush your teeth, call it a day, and you'll actually notice that little barrier can stop you. And this has been a big one for me.
Yeah, next up, we simply have just pre-logging your meals. This was from David. So a lot of times people struggle with nutrition because they start their day and they have a million different thoughts with their nutrition. They don't really know what they're going to have. And even it's been said that we have a couple hundred different thoughts around nutrition within a day, which is challenging, right? Because our willpower gets drained as the day goes on. And when you go in without much of an approach and you're kind of just like, well, when breakfast time comes, you're like, I don't know what I'm going to have. And you just kind of look around, takes you a few minutes, maybe you'll make a bad decision. And then as the day goes on, it just keeps getting worse. Lunch you have to decide, and dinner. So I really like taking MyFitnessPal or whatever app it is that you're going to use, plug in the data for the day before. And if I want to challenge you here, which I will, the night before is absolutely game changing. I find a lot of times that's very helpful. And when I was doing really, really serious cuts, I would always do that. But even the morning time, as you have your coffee or whatever it is, you can plan out the day nice. And it just gives you so much more control, because so many people get sidetracked within the random things that they didn't consider, such as a dinner at night, a special event coming up, maybe not realizing you didn't have something in your fridge that you were supposed to have. So when you sit there with a game plan, I promise you it'll take 2 to 3 minutes max, depending on how much work you put into it. It gives you so much direction for the day, and it allows you to hit your macros and calories accordingly. And this is especially helpful if you do have things going on. And even for myself, like I've been there where I didn't plan it out accordingly. The nighttime comes, I'm like, I forgot that we were doing this thing, or my friend was bringing wings to our poker night, or whatever it is. So I find that putting it ahead of schedule will make such a big difference. And I promise you, once you do this, you will not want to go back.
This is probably the biggest takeaway from the whole episode. So make sure you're doing this if you're tracking your food, especially because it's so easy to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. I got a cream in my coffee here. This is like 40 to 60 calories. And it's very easy as the day goes by, or if I'm throwing everything in a night, for me to forget about this. Maybe Kyle, today they offered us a sample of a little smoothie at the gym. Maybe he drank that. And that's not necessarily something you could pre-log, but that's something he should be logging immediately after he eats it. And you can go a step further by logging in advance. I knew this morning what my breakfast was. I know what my lunch was going to be. And let's say something crazy happened and I ended up going to lunch somewhere else. I can just delete it, throw something new in. But it starts to paint a picture of that day. It makes you be ahead as opposed to being behind. And I've had clients that have signed up with me that have struggled to get into rhythm and see change. And we've implemented this. And this was like that aha moment where weight just started peeling off, things became really linear, really consistent. And one thing I always like to say to my clients is you can always not put food in your mouth, but you can't take it out. So if you're pre-logging it, you can say, ooh, I actually can't eat this whole meal, or I can't get the fries on the side, or maybe I won't have dessert tonight. I don't have room for that. Or you could say, I really want this dessert, so I'm gonna have to play around and maybe not have my snack or have a smaller portion for dinner. And it gives you a lot of control to really make sure the numbers work, to be ahead and advance and on top of everything. So make sure you were pre-logging your meals. Next up, this is one I've never tried. This is from Maddy, but I'm really intrigued to give it a go. And that is using bone broth instead of olive oil. So I actually love cooking with olive oil myself. And of course, you have to count for oil when you are cooking. And as delicious as it is, as healthy of a fat as it is, it can absolutely be a little bit caloric, and it can sometimes be a little bit of a strain to the macros. So if you're on low macros, poverty macros, as we like to say, you have a great opportunity to challenge yourself with a bone broth, because what's amazing here, as Maddy had said, was you're getting flavor, protein, and way less calories. So it's like clicking all those boxes, all those things that I love. It's higher in protein, it's less calories, you can have more of it, and you can add a lot of flavor. And then she had also mentioned it's a bonus if you cook it in onion. So these are tools I've been using, things like onion, mustard, hot sauces. They're a great way to add a lot more flavor with essentially no calories, right? Ketchup, it's delicious, but it's a little bit caloric. Mustard is literally 0 calories. Onions are going to be very low in calories. So if you can start to look a little bit outside of the normal things you eat and aim to flavor with things that are a little bit lower in calorie, you'd actually realize you have a wide variety of options. And there are a lot of things you can sub out like this to save yourself a ton of calories. So shout out Maddy for this suggestion. I'm definitely going to be giving it a shot. And I'm going to share another amazing one that I loved, and this is from Freeda, and that is repeating meals that work for you. So I eat the same breakfast almost every single day. I will change sometimes the berries I have, sometimes the amount of granola, the amount of honey. I'll adjust it to my needs, but in general, it's just there's no effort or thought that goes into it. And usually if we leave ourselves to make decisions when we're weakest, so if you think when you're really hungry, you're going to grab whatever you can, you're going to get whatever satiates you, whatever's tasty. So instead for me, I'm like, I know this works. It's high in protein. It feels great with my stomach. It's healthy carbs, fats, protein, everything I need for a killer workout, getting lots of vitamins and nutrients. And with that, it just takes all the guesswork out. So this is a meal I enjoy, I have often. Sometimes when I don't have this, I'll have protein pancakes. It's another thing that's in that same range. Usually I'll have about 400 to 700 calories for breakfast. That's personally what I enjoy. So I'll sometimes, instead of that, have the pancakes. I used to do oatmeal. I used to do smoothies. These are all kind of in my repertoire of things I can use that are all in that range, that are kind of verified. They're simple. I know how to make them. And it takes a lot of that guesswork out. Just the same, when me and Kyle work together, we have a couple different spots we'll go to lunch. And depending on where we are, what we're having, we have a lot of amazing options that are 50 plus grams of protein, but 1,000 calories post-training that we love. So it gives us a lot of ability to really enjoy it, as opposed to day after day it feeling like such a fight. These things are already pre-logged in my MyFitnessPal as meals. So if there's little variances in them, we can just change 1 or 2 items, but it takes literally 10 seconds per thing to log that in. We know it's good and we know it fits with our goals. We also have different tiers of things. So even today we had salad, which is really healthy. It's like 8 vegetables with like a rice or a quinoa and a lean protein and then a sauce. So it's a great way to do that. And that gives me more flexibility to maybe have something a little bit funner. Whereas if I'm gonna like have a super healthy dinner, maybe I'll have a little bit more of a fun lunch. Maybe I'll get shawarma, which isn't as great macros as that or as a burrito bowl, but it's still pretty close. And the same for dinner. We have like 5 different dinners that will rotate through as quick, healthy, high protein meals that are really quick to cook. We have some things that take longer to cook that we like to have if we plan it out. So having this like rough shell makes it very easy to fill the gaps. And of course, there'll be exotic instances here and there. We have something completely off menu, but I do find the more you can kind of have like a base menu or things that work well for you or things you're very comfortable cooking that you know the macros for, it really just makes it a lot easier, especially things you know agree with you that you have the items for. So this is a big one and it really does make it a lot easier.
Staples are such a key to success. We actually have a recipe guide with 53 high protein recipes for our clients. So when they come into the program, we give tons of ebooks, tons of suggestions, and I know nutrition's a big thing people struggle with. So yeah, just whenever you come into the program, just know that you'll 100% be supported with that. And I just want to also say, hey, if you're struggling on your journey, and nutrition is a very touchy subject for a lot of people, and it's hard to know how much to eat, what to eat. There's just so much confusion. Just fill out a form submission down below. First link, it'll bring you to our website, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible and be able to help support you on your journey. No strings attached, so we'd love to hear from you. But number 5 is simply protein fasting, and I'm pretty sure we trademarked this like 8 to 10 years ago, I remember asking Josh like on the times, because we would go out to eat for dinner and we would sometimes eat a lot, whether it was like a buffet we'd go to. There's this place called Mongolian Grill, which it's funny, it's actually like mostly meat, but then there's some carb stuff there as well. And I just remember trying to figure out how to make it work. But I remember when fasting became a thing, it wouldn't be as beneficial, because fasting, although can work for some people, when it comes down to trying to save a lot of calories for later in the day, where it gets challenging is you may get to that meal having had 0 grams of protein if you fasted, and then there's no way you're going to hit your protein intake, right? You may have hit your calories because you've saved all of them, but you might end up with 40 grams of protein, which is just not ideal at all on your journey. So we call it protein fasting, which is essentially loading up early in the day between breakfast and lunch with simply protein, right? Mostly protein. Don't get me wrong, you're not gonna get some carbs and fat, but like I'll give you an example. I would have my typical Greek yogurt breakfast. Maybe I'll add like an extra serving of protein. I could get 40 grams. I may have a Quest chip and then some sort of like chicken breast or something in that nature that's like really high in protein, and then save just a ton of calories later for the day. So I may go into that special event, that wedding, that family thing with like 80 to 100 grams of protein, having had maybe 20 to 40 carbs and just like little fat, and I've saved over 1,500 calories for the day to just enjoy myself. And the thing is, most people know when you go to specific events, and this is great for special events, mostly protein isn't going to be there, right? A lot of it's going to be higher in carbs. There's going to be lots of desserts. There's going to be lots of other things. So this allows you to not only hit your protein, but your calories as well. And I even used this like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago for my Easter celebration with my family. My grandma was having us over, and it was also my birthday. So I had my typical Greek yogurt with less granola, a little bit less, seeds and stuff in the morning. And then also on the drive down, it was a 2-hour drive. I had some Quest chips, and that put me in a really good spot as well. I was around 75-ish grams of protein. We had turkey later on, so I was able to get a lot from there and still have dessert while having some stuffing and hit my calories. So there's a lot of different places you can use this, and it's mainly used for special events or times where you just know there's going to be a lot of unknowns later in the day. If you're not sure if something's going to be served or what's going to be there, this can really help you out.
Yeah, for me, all the time when there's like perhaps something later in the day I want to enjoy, maybe you're going to go try this really fun pizza place and it's taking like half your calories. And you're like, oh my gosh, how can I do this? But I love this place. I'm in this special area where I can only get this thing one time and it's important to me, but I want to make it fit. So when you do that, I always just like to maximize, like Kyle said, on the protein, on the veggies, pre-log that bonus thing in later and start to build around that day. And it just makes it so much easier because you're knocking out a lot of the protein, which is usually the hard one to get. And then it gives you that ability to just eat that fun thing and really enjoy it. Maybe you want 1,000 calories Sunday or something crazy like that. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit harder, but like Kyle said, if you're someone who just assumes I'm going to not eat all day and then I'm going to be perfect for this one meal, yeah, right. Like I know in particular, I have a lot of willpower, but I don't got willpower like that. Like when I'm hungry, like I said, that's tempting where you want to make bad decisions and you start tasting that food, you want to just keep having more of it. And it's very easy to go off the deep end. Whereas when you've logged it in, you can enjoy it guilt-free. You've worked all day around it. It's a lot easier to actually just have that amount and have success with it. So quintessentially what protein fasting is just minimizing your calories early on, but trying to knock out a lot of that protein, because you'll notice when you eat foods that aren't as quote unquote healthy or protein aware, that your protein will be really low. You'll be eating a lot of fats, a lot of carbs, a lot of sugars. So you're trying to minimize that to actually enjoy that event later. And that's how we're able to utilize flexible dieting and enjoy all of our favorite foods like pizza, ice cream, all these different things, and still maintain an incredibly just fantastic physique.
And I love that Josh mentioned that, because even the protein will satiate you, right? So I see so many people when it comes to fasting, they struggle because whenever they get their hands on something, they just go ballistic. Whereas if you've hit 80 to 100 grams of protein, you'll be pretty satisfied, and that will put you in a really good position when that food comes, and you'll be, in a good spot to have that. But yeah, Megan also shared this kind of in a different way, which is cool. She said front loading protein when you have less control of meals later. And this is such a game changer, because I know there are And I do think this is a perfect segue into what Megan had said, which is simply front loading protein when you have less control of meals later. So we are very realistic. We know there are situations where there's company dinners, there's family things, and a lot of times you are out of control, right? You know, your grandma's cooking something, your friend said they're going to take you out for a special surprise thing, whatever the case is. I'm not someone that wants to necessarily go and not be able to have something, but I also don't want to just be super, you know, I guess you could say like trying to figure it out like consistently and bothering them at the same time. So I know that when I am going to have less control, I'm not cooking, I'm not sure what the menu's like, this is a fantastic tool to utilize. It's just simply loading up early on, filling yourself up, and making sure you set yourself up for success. So when it comes to that special event or whatever the case is, you don't have to feel like you can't have anything, or you don't have to go in there and just like go completely overboard. So this is a great tool to utilize.
Yeah, and the next one we have is from Carol, and that's if you're going to snack at nighttime, pre-log it and stick to it. I think this is an amazing one because I think the aimless snacking is the biggest issue at night, and it can kind of be that danger time. But there are times where like there's something I'm looking forward to having, like maybe I'm having kombucha and a Quest chip, or I'm going to have like a Ninja Creamy with like 2 Oreos or something like that. So when you pre-log that in, you build around that day, you can have that guilt-free. And like I said, it takes away that psychology where maybe you'll just keep having more of it because you'll be like, I had that thing already budgeted to. And this is another great tool you can use with alcohol. A lot of people go out and they'll say they always mess up because they go out just expecting to have one drink. They end up having 3, then they end up going for pizza or a burger after, something like that. But instead, be realistic with yourself. Be like, I'm going to this event. I want to have 2 cocktails. I'm going to budget that in. I'm going to stick to it. And then it just takes out all that gray area. So more than anything, and the more you can consistently do this, the more you can trust yourself, and the more you'll be able to enjoy these events guilt-free. Because like I said, when you don't do this, the alternative is you assume you're going to go out and have control. And you're like a kid in a candy store. You're not going to have control in that moment. Then you're going to resent it. And then you're going to end up saying, oh, I'm never going to be able to be cut unless I don't do anything socially. And then when you do that, you're going to dread the process. And it's just a cyclical mess where you're seeing no progress and you're dreading every area of it. Whereas when you kind of meet yourself halfway towards enjoyment and actually hitting your goals, you're able to do all these things guilt-free.
Yeah, and if you haven't noticed, a common theme here is if you fail to prepare, you've got to prepare to fail. So that's something that we're super passionate about if you can't tell. Next up is just meal planning and also bulk cooking from Alex. I know a lot of people have great success with this, especially because life can get super busy if you know at specific times you come home and your willpower is drained. And I know so many people who go in with not much of a game plan or they don't have anything prepared. And then what's the option? All right, Uber Eats or drive-through or whatever the case is. So sitting down on a Sunday, getting some thoughts out for the meals for the week. I know a lot of people that will just cook in bulk, whether it's chicken breasts, like, you know, barbecue season is here for most people here, depending on where you live, but I would say mostly for everyone. It's a great time to just load up, put some veggies in some Tupperware containers, some certain carbs, whatever it is you want to use, rice, potatoes, all that great stuff. And then obviously protein sources are the best to have available because that's usually where a lot of people fall short. So chicken breasts, lean ground beef, whatever it is that you want to use. But meal planning and bulk cooking goes a long way.
Next up from Brooke, she had just said big salads are clutch in a cut. This is actually something I use because you can have like 200 or 300 calories and be absolutely stuffed. So the more vegetables in general you can have, the more you'll feel satisfied and satiated. It's very hard to cut when you're eating junky foods and low calories because you're just starving. I've been there, I've done that, I've made that mistake. Whereas instead, you can really simplify that process by optimizing with whole foods, proteins, and a ton of veggies. And if you are noticing you're having a hard time cutting and your satiety just isn't there, just start filling more of your calories with vegetables and you'll notice how much easier it is, and you can actually finish the day more often than not even that hungry, and actually still be losing weight. And you're getting a ton of nutrients. You're also hydrating yourself as you have them. Like veggies in general are huge. You just need to be aware of the sauces. I know a lot of people, unfortunately, even we had a buddy, we got this Chick-fil-A salad, the market salad that I love. It's great macros, it's absolutely amazing. But he got like 2 massive ranch sauces. It's like 700 calories of sauce. So just be mindful when you're with the sauces you're using. There's like a ton of amazing options out there that are low cal, but that is the one caveat I had to add there.
Yeah, and last but not least, when you do go grocery shopping, try your best at least to start with walking the perimeter as well as going with a list. So when you think about grocery shopping, I know a lot of people fall short with having the right stuff kind of brought into their house. And it's even very easy to give in to a lot of things that aren't going to be helpful towards your goals. That's another thing I see people doing. So I know it's funny because I'll see some people, they'll use those apps where you get it delivered, and I don't care for that too much, but I wish there was a study done where it kind of showcases you like the difference. Like if you go grocery shopping, you may spend a certain amount more because you've given into marketing, because you've gone down the chip aisles, you got a lot of stuff that you weren't on your list, you shouldn't have gotten. Even when you're just standing at the checkout line, like a lot of people don't realize, but there's a lot of marketing being done there. Everything's placed very strategic. There's a lot of companies that spend a lot of money to try to get you to bring that into your house. So it is always an endless battle between like fast food places and then even grocery stores and gas stations and all that other stuff to give into those consistent temptations. So just go to the grocery store, walk the perimeter. Most of the stuff there are very minimally processed. Like when you think of it, there's a lot of meat, there's mostly veggies, the fruits there are great, and try your best. I know it's not possible or easy for everyone to just not go through like every single aisle and give into a lot of those temptations that could be had. Another bonus like that goes into grocery shopping is go in full. If you go in and you just are super hungry, you'll probably start to grab other things that you maybe shouldn't be bringing. So yeah, I just want to talk about grocery shopping because that's something I know a lot of people do struggle with. And I guess a last thing on that is just have it scheduled. Like try to do it consistently, because I know it's easy to just consistently run out of things, and then when you do, you don't have stuff prepared and you end up falling off track. So that's my final one. And yeah, we just want to say thank you so much for spending time with us today. Like I said, first link down below if you want to get the results you're striving for, if you want to get guaranteed change, get help with nutrition, get access to all our recipe guides, our food suggestions. We have a fast food survival guide. We have cookbooks. We have so many amazing things that I know you're going to love. Fill that out down below, and we can't wait to see you in the next episode. Peace out.